ahead of you, so I'm getting ready for lunch.
That's right. You're rolling already.
Exactly.
I saw y'all are in for some rain though, come a couple of days from now.
Oh my heavens, it's been Rain City.
I'll tell you, I had a niece that got stuck up there at that airport, and American canceled their flights from DC, and they're all over the place. Anyway, they were supposed to be home Saturday and didn't get here till yesterday.
Travel these days is tough.
It's really tough. Every time I used to love to travel, but now every time I get on a plane, I get ready to be mad and get my gears
Exactly.
up, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Kids, students, Steven Webster is here. He is coming to us via Zoom from the Boston area, and he's going to talk to y'all about Navigate 2, because y'all got an assignment coming up on that, and he's going to tell you all about it, and y'all can ask him any questions that y'all need to, because he is certainly the expert on that. And I am going to turn it over to him. And Steven, I got one or two missing, but I'm just going to let them in as they come in.
Okay, and you're recording this, so
I am.
You can share that
with my afternoon class.
Perfect. You need to give me rights.
I did. I gave you co-host.
Awesome. Oh, now I have that. Terrific. Let me just do one other thing. All righty. Let me share a screen. What the heck? Zoom changed some things here. Hold on a second.
Yeah, technology has not been my friend this semester. And the new learning management system, Canvas, is about to drive me back to Texas.
So sorry to hear that. I used to be able to share a whole screen.
Yeah, we're not seeing anything.
No, I'm not. I haven't triggered this yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, we're going to have to, it looks like I'm going to have to juggle a little bit between some things. All right. So you all will come to JB Learning, and you will have purchased the ISBN that Professor Martinez shared with you. And that access will be here within your JBL My Account page. And I just want to confirm that everybody is seeing that page. We're good? Terrific. So your scenario will be listed here. I have a boatload of courses in here because I do demos all the time. So it's a little busy for me, but you will see the Navigate 2 scenario for healthcare marketing, and it will be a listing here. You will click on that and launch into the scenario. There will be 4 different episodes, and Professor Martinez has those scheduled, and what they are is a multimedia case study. And I'll show you how it all works. There are 4 of those case studies: staying relevant, patient engagement, patient satisfaction, and how are we doing. And when you launch one of those episodes, it will launch into a window that looks like this. And please, can you tell me if I have moved over to the Toolwire interface, or are you still seeing Navigate?
We're seeing, it says lab, staying, yes, Toolwire.
Excuse me? Mine, my version of the Navigate 2 says staying relevant, patient engagement, and then recovery and retention. I think I'm missing like
You're doing healthcare marketing, correct, Professor Martinez?
Yes, healthcare marketing. Brandon, you should see staying relevant. That's the first one. That's the one he just clicked into.
Yep.
And then my second episode says patient engagement.
Patient engagement. Yeah.
And my third one says recovery and retention.
Oh.
We may have renamed that. It's possible that I have an old instance here. patient satisfaction, and then how are we doing? Is that the third one, the fourth one, Brandon?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think that there was just a name change here.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a
Thanks,
second.
Brandon,
Good,
for letting
good
us know.
eyes though.
Yeah, he's
So
good about that.
awesome. So I'm gonna have to stop my share and do a new share. Hold on. Looks like I don't have my windows all available, which is really annoying. I'll have to complain to the Zoom folks.
They may listen.
Yeah, probably not. So now we have launched into the scenario, and are we seeing that, everybody?
Yes.
Terrific. All right. So at the beginning of the scenario, we do a little bit of scene setting, and everything is all laid out here right on screen. There is a closed caption in the upper right. You can turn that on, toggle that on and off. So after we read about what's going on at Bright Road Health Systems, we then meet with Blake Hines. And once we hit continue, oops, I need to make sure that I'm sharing my sound. Hold on. Share sound, there we go.
Thank you for meeting with me. I know you're meeting with Amit, our marketing director, after this, but I wanted to give you an overview first before you dig in
Turn
with
close
him.
can off if you want.
I have an important marketing project that I'd like you to work on. We're looking at ways to expand our online marketing presence to reach a larger audience.
And then these are the various interactions that you are going to have with Blake. Sometimes there is a right answer. Sometimes there is an answer that could be right or wrong and might actually be equally right. So there are sometimes these answers are flat out right and wrong, and other times they are simply different ways to get to the information that you need. As you go through the scenario, you'll want to be taking notes on stuff and paying close attention to what you're hearing and seeing. And this is your challenge as you walk through the scenario to glean out of the video case study information that you're going to use to write recommendations and take a quiz at the end of things. And Professor Martinez will cover exactly how you're going to do that. So we're going to say, who's your target audience? And then Blake
Great
is going to
question.
reply.
We are targeting our community residents. Many of our residents are in the Generation X and Y categories, and we have also noted many
So I'm going to pause that and click on the menu here. And this is going to show the various scenes that we have. So there's a meeting with the CEO, there's a meeting with the marketing director. I'm going to jump forward to the meeting with the marketing director, and that's going to be Amit Patel, and we're going to meet with him.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad you'll be helping us improve our online presence. Blake told me she was going to meet with you and give you the high-level details. How did that go?
And then you respond. And he
Sure.
interacts coming back
I'm
at
actually
you.
the one who initiated this project.
So the various scenes are here in the menu, and you can see the various scenes. So we've got a meeting with the CEO, meeting with the marketing director. There's looking at the online presence. And then after all of that is done, and you walk your way through all those various interactions, there is a quiz, there's an assessment at the end. And I will point out that within each scene, when you can see you can replay the scene, that starts at the beginning of the scene. You're not able to replay just that last video snippet. So be aware that that's the case. So you can replay the scene. You've got some controls here. You can jump to the previous scene or jump to the next scene. So we're going to play.
When we looked at the majority of our community,
And we're going to jump to the next scene. And it looks like we've got an email from Amit. And there's that email. And it provides a couple of faux links to website information and social media. So you would then click on those guys and again, glean information and look at the information on the website and look at social media. Ultimately, we're going to fast forward here to the assessment. you're able to take this assessment as many times as you want. Professor Martinez has decided what the passing threshold is. Professor Martinez, what is passing for this?
Okay, they actually take this after, I guess after taking it on here, I actually put it onto the Canvas site.
Oh,
and
you've
they
got
take
it in
like
Canvas?
a quiz. I
Okay,
do.
so folks, what I would have you do is don't even bother with this. Just do it within Canvas under Professor Martinez's auspices in Canvas.
And they
the
can
other-
take it also as many times as they want to, and they get until they get 100.
All right,
get all
so
10
take it
right.
till you get 100. Awesome. So also within Professor Martinez's Canvas is another instance of the recommendation that the scenario is asking you to do. Ignore doing it here. Please do this in a Word document or pages. Professor Martinez may have some other thoughts on that, but you're going to want to do that in a written form using Microsoft Word or something else. And Professor Martinez, you want to chime in there?
Yes. What you're going to do is you're going to answer this. You're going to follow these directions, except you're going to do it on a Word. It has to be a Word doc because I can't grade anything else. And you're going to then upload it to the spot on the assignment part of Canvas. So this part about putting it on their email, I don't want that at all. We're going to do it APA correct on a Word doc, uploaded to the assignment page.
There you go. So a couple of other things for you all. Also in the menu is help and FAQs. There's also a transcript. The transcript, hopefully you're going to see that, is a PDF that tells you all the players and all the scenes and gives you the ability to read the text if you want to read along with things, or if you want to go back and see what was said. You don't have to write it all down. It is all written down there for you. Should
we be seeing it now? Did you click on it, or
I did? Yeah, I have to do a new share. Zoom is killing me.
I understand.
What happened to just showing the darn screen?
Okay, we got it now.
There we go. So here is that PDF for staying relevant.
This is also good if you're like at a airport or in a, in the library or something. You do not want to have that, the voices and stuff. You can read it.
Right. And some folks may want to print it out and read along with it. Your mileage may vary. So help in FAQs. We're going to have to reshare that guy again. And this is what that looks like.
And we're not seeing it.
Oops. Share. It's going to kill me. I just added 10 minutes to all of my demos. So here's the support portal. You can sign in. There are a bunch of solutions that are available there as well.
So y'all are using Toolwire support out. I thought it was done through JB Learning now.
Well, the scenario support is through the Toolwire support because it's their piece. When next term, Professor Martinez, we hope to have things in a pure JBL form. But
okay.
that's a conversation for another day.
Okay.
That's for later.
Okay.
Questions, everybody?
Okay, folks, this is y'all's opportunity. If you have questions about getting into the program, okay, Jenny, what you got?
I was just wondering, like, in general, like, how long in total of like how much time I should allocate for this like assignment?
That's a really good question. It really will depend a great deal on how quickly and how well you take notes and assimilate the information. The walking through the scenario is about a 20 to 25-minute experience, depending on whether you want to go back and re-listen to what Blake had to say about this or what Meet had to do with that. So it's about 20 to 25 minutes. The writing
Okay.
piece, I'm not going to tell you how long that's going to take.
Okay.
That's going to be your own individual production.
Sorry. And then for like the I saw that there's like 4 episodes. So the Navigate 2 is like we go through each episode, all 4.
One at a
You'll-
time. You have
Oh,
one
one at-
assigned.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have 4 different Thursdays off to do that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And the question that has come up with, yeah, Mary, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify. So the assignments that we do through Navigate, they're not going to be turned in through Navigate. We do a Word doc, right?
That's
do a
correct.
Word doc. That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Do the quiz in Canvas and submit your Word doc through Canvas to Professor Martinez.
A number of you that have gone in have said that you wanted a course number, but I don't use that Navigate or that site for anything else. So when it
Just
asks
use
you
the-
for a course ID, click through it.
Yeah, just use the open enrollment.
Yeah. Okay. Mary, do you have another question, or is your hand just still up?
No, it's just still up. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Anybody else? We got a captive audience here now with Steve, so let's any other questions, because most of them I won't be able to answer. Well, Stephen, they're either
Terrific.
not awake or you did a super job.
Well, 15,
Oh, we
20
got
minutes.
one more.
Vincent, what do you got?
Yeah, hello. For the scenario, so we just walk through it in terms of like learning about the scenes and then taking notes, and then afterwards we just, if we have anything that we miss, is the transcript anything that we can look at afterwards?
You can certainly look at the transcript whenever as you see fit.
Okay.
And it's not, this is not a, this is a writing exercise, not a note-taking exercise, if you will. The assignment here with this one, for example, is to write a short proposal of 250 to 500 words to Amit Patel. So you're going to want to, this is the work, not a matter of can you take good notes. You want to be creative and come up with good suggestions for Bright Road social media presence.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I saw a question about the platform. Inez, I'm not sure what platform you're talking about.
Hi, sorry, I'm sick. I don't know if you can hear me. It's just because every time I try using the link, like to get onto Navigate, it's giving me the 404 error.
Stephen, you got any kind of help for that?
I don't. Can you share your screen?
I don't have access to it to like share my screen just because my computer doesn't let me, but I think I figured it out. I'm gonna just try to rewrite the URL, but it's okay.
Okay, well, let us know. Okay, Sandra, your hand was up.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my voice, but I was just gonna ask, when you mentioned that we had to like keep going until we get 100%, do you mean for Navigate or Canvas quizzes?
No, just on Canvas, the Navigate quiz is on Canvas. And when you take the Navigate quiz only, not the other quizzes, you can keep taking it over and over until you get 100.
So
Okay,
do
so
so
we're
do so in Canvas. Then Canvas will capture your grade.
Yeah,
Don't
you
do
don't
it.
you don't have
Don't
to
do
do
it.
it on this site.
Don't do it in Toolwire.
So does that mean when we're answering, we're picking like a different answer for navigate, those don't count? Or
Okay, like the one that you can take the one on here also, but the one that's going to count is the one that you take on the Canvas website. And when you go through it, let's say you get a 9 out of 10, I think it'll show you which one you got wrong, and you just go back and think about it and see what, and then just answer the other ones the same way and change your answer on the one you got wrong.
okay.
Make sense?
Thank you.
Okay, I see a hand up for iPhone 3, but I don't see a name, so.
Well, that's me. I'm sorry. I thought I changed my name.
Oh.
No worries.
When we were doing the writing part of the assignment, did you want us to format it like an email or just like a regular essay form?
It needs to be like a letter, like a, you know, like
Or a
a
memo.
formal business letter. Okay.
Thank you.
Vincent?
Oh, I was about to ask, so you want us to do that in the APA style form of a letter for us?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I see Rihanna has, it's a social media writing prompt on the syllabus. No, it's just on Navigate, Rihanna. Madison,
Yes.
get your hand up.
Oh, it's still up? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to click my name.
Oh, okay. You were iPhone 3.
Yeah, that's me.
No worries.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. If they continue to have that issue with the fault 404, can they call the Jones Bartlett help?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And do we have that number?
Just pop you over to it. And I'm not even sure what I'm sharing these days, so there is that page.
Okay, let's see. Okay, y'all need to write that number down just in case. 800-832-0034.
Sandra, another question?
Yeah, sorry. Do you know if we're able to just purchase the Navigate without the book? I have a physical copy of it. But if I just wanted to purchase the Navigate 2, how can I do that?
Well, you can go here. I think you are probably we have created a bundle. So this is
I think it's only like $5 difference between the bundle with the digital book and the Navigate.
Yeah.
And I think that we still have that 20% off or 15% off coupon y'all sent me.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Our sales rep has worked with Professor Martinez. You can buy the scenarios separately. I think they are more expensive separately as opposed to bundled with.
Yeah, Sandra, I think that the digital bundle is like about $69, and you can get, someone told me they were able to use that code I sent out, study, I think 23, and got either 15 or 20% off. I think the scenarios by themselves are about, or 50 or more, they used to be. So I think you're better off getting the digital book.
I see. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Sandra, contact me later for that code.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen, I guess y'all didn't, we were not able to get a free access to the to it for this semester, correct?
Yeah, we were trying to do a pilot, but that we ran into some logistical pieces on our end.
Okay, all right. Our bookstore actually ran out of the codes for the Navigate and the textbook, and so I've been sending people to y'all's website because I don't know how our bookstore ran out, and I don't know why they can't just download it, but for some reason they have to get physical, things from y'all. I don't know. Makes sense to me. So anyway, any other questions? Are we good?
Does the
Or-
social media prompt need references?
No, no references. Thank you for asking that, though. It's APA correctly formatted, but I'm not requiring references.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Terrific.
Okay. Stephen, you're wonderful as usual. Thank you
you
so
all.
much.
Have a great term. I appreciate all your time and all the good questions.
And try not to melt out there in the rain.
Exactly. You're in good hands with Professor Martinez. She does a great job.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Take care, all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So everybody should be squared away for, I believe the lesson is this week on that. I think the first one is this week. That you'll be working on it. Y'all have the phone number if you have run into issues on that error message, because I sure don't know. But they are pretty good about responding pretty quickly. So, and if y'all didn't get the number, then I also wrote it down. Y'all can text me and I will send it to you or email me. Okay, so do I have any questions on anything else?
I have a question, Professor.
Yeah, Mary.
My internet was going on and off the last couple of minutes, so I just saw in the chat something about a social media prompt. Is that the same prompt that he was showing us from
Yes.
Navigate?
Yeah.
At the beginning, right?
Well, he showed y'all at the end. You'll get an assignment from Amit, and it'll have on there. You're going to talk to them about the website, how to improve the website and the social media. And in the email that pops up on your screen for the assignment, it's got a link for the social media and for the website to look at it.
Okay, I'll take a look. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Correct. I got a question. Is the scenario the first one, the one that he was just
Staying
talking?
relevant?
Yeah,
I believe it is. Let me check I can check the syllabus and tell you. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Yes, first one is staying relevant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking here. I don't want to call everybody's name out. I'm missing one person. Can anybody, like the people who are in your group, can anybody tell me if you are seeing who might not be here that's in your group? Anybody? So I don't have to call out everybody for one person. Okay. Well, I'll try something else besides having to call y'all's names. So I'll just look at the recording. If anybody realizes who it is, please let me know. So otherwise, I'll go to the recording. Okay. All right. So today we're going to spend the next little while talking about marketing research. And, I've harped on this quite a bit, maybe not as much with this class. So we've had, several guest speakers and I haven't maybe started the whole day out, but anytime that you're doing marketing, whether it's in healthcare or whether it's in, marketing Ford 150s or whether it's marketing, restaurants, whatever it happens to be, the same principles are going to be used. You're going to use the same principles for marketing research. Everything that you're doing in this class could be done for actually any other type of organization, because marketing is marketing. So I've had some trouble just like Stephen with Zoom, but I'm going to try to show y'all a Zoom link to introduce y'all to this marketing research. So give me a second, bear with me, and let me see if I can get it to work today. Really very agitating. Hang on. Let's see. 1 minute. Okay. Keeping my fingers crossed here.
Want to start a new business, launch a new offer, or grow your existing business in order to take your sales to the next level, then you need to know what's going on in your market. And that means market research. The problem is that 90% of businesses are doing market research wrong, with the other 10% of businesses not even doing it at all, which leads to ineffective marketing campaigns, bad results, and an overall waste of time and money and energy, sitting there wondering why nothing seems to be working. But I don't blame them. After all, just the term market research sounds confusing and boring and time-consuming and expensive. I mean, can't you just skip the market research part and figure it all out as you go? Ha ha ha! No. You see, market research is one of the most important elements of any marketing campaign, whether we're talking about social media, or content marketing, or video, or email, or anything at all. But like all things in business and in marketing, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. The wrong way is doing market research using old school and outdated and often incredibly ineffective techniques, like running focus groups, which are often very expensive, hard to get in-depth data from, and are prone to moderator bias. This is where the person running the group either intentionally or inadvertently injects their own opinions and sways the direction of the group based on the questions and how they ask them. So Adam, what do you think of our new drink? Yeah, it's okay, I guess. So let me ask you then, would you rather drink our new drink or be submerged in molten hot lava and burned alive? I'm sorry, what? Surveys are another traditional option, but they require careful wording of the questions and even more careful interpretation of the results back. Simply rephrasing a question from a positive to a negative can completely alter the outcome and the results that you get. Not to mention leading questions like, how awesome is our hardworking customer service team? That can skew the responses before the respondent has even had a chance to think, much less respond. Question order and even the description used to talk about the survey can unconsciously prime a respondent in order to give certain answers depending on how it's worded and how it's presented. And don't even get me started on trying to read through case studies and white papers and research reports, most of which are far too academic and theoretical to actually work in the real world. And even if you do manage to decipher some of the more complicated language, well, many of the results are outdated the second they're published, especially in faster changing industries and markets. If I'm making this sound bad, it's because it is. But the good news is that there is a better way, a faster way, an easier way. You see, there are 3 things you need to know in order for your market research to actually be useful. First, you need to identify who are the kind of people that you want to attract and to sell to. This includes their demographic details, their geographic details, and their psychographic details, so more on that in just a minute. Next, you need to understand and try to clarify what they say they want. This is important because it's going to influence the marketing and the language and the copy that you use in your campaigns. But it's not the whole picture, because the next thing that you need to find out is what they actually buy. As the old saying goes, talk is cheap. So simply asking someone if they would buy something is completely different than putting that thing in front of them and asking them to hand over their wallet or their credit card or their hard-earned cash in order to actually make that sale. And this is why you need to not just look at what people say, but more importantly, what they actually do. Of course, for all of this to work and to make any sense at all, we first need to identify who these people are. So let's start there with a simple market research framework that I've been using for over 10 years now. It always gets the job done. The simple 5-question market research framework I use to help keep me on track is the who, what, when, where, why framework. And to help me remember, I wrote a little market research jingle. Who, what, when, where, why, I ask these questions so my business doesn't die. See, at each stage, I'm asking who is my market. Not just who I think they are, but who are the people that are actually the best fit for my business and offer. If it's a brand new offer, I'll look at my competitors and their ads to see who they're targeting and what their messaging and offers look like. I'll show you how to do this in just a minute. And if I'm launching a new offer to my existing market, then I'll identify the top 20% of my customers and look for similarities in the following 3 categories. First, demographic details like their age and gender and income and occupation and things like that. Next, their geographic details like what city or state or province province or country they live in. Then finally, their psychographic details, like what are their values and attitudes and beliefs and lifestyles. Next, I ask what. What are their miracles and their miseries? Their miracles are all of their wants and dreams and goals and desires and everything they're hoping to obtain, and their miseries are all of their fears and frustrations and pains and problems and all the things they're trying to get away from, like dinosaurs. Then I ask when, and this helps keep me focused on my ideal customers. First, I try to see if I can find any life events that may alter or influence their buying decisions. Things like getting married or getting divorced, having a new kid, getting a new job, or moving to a new city. I also try to take a look at what's going on in their day-to-day lives and how this may influence when and where they consume different kinds of content or make buying decisions. For example, someone working a traditional 9-to-5 job has a very different schedule than, say, a stay-at-home parent or a home entrepreneur. And all of these factors need to be considered. Then I ask where, as in where are they present and active, online and offline? Where do they spend their time reading and watching and socializing and engaging? A quick Google search for a term like social media demographics will show you what kind of people are using what social media platforms, which is going to give you a huge advantage over your competitors and will make sure that you're creating content in the right places. After the when, I think of why. And this is where I'll look at the deeper drives and the motivations behind why someone would benefit from my offer, and ask questions like, what are the benefits that they're hoping to get out of this, and why are these benefits important to them in the first place? Now I appreciate this is a lot to think about, especially if this is your first time working through something like this. But it's things like this that really separate the amateurs from the pros, and can mean the difference between marketing that connects and marketing that just gets ignored. So now that we've got that covered, next we need to uncover what they say they want, and for that there's no better place to turn than to the search engines. The best way to find out what people say they want is to take a look at what they're actually searching for, and there's no better place to do that than with our trusty old friend Google. And if you're feeling extra ambitious, then a little bit of extra help from Google Ads Keyword Planner goes a long way too. But let's start with Google first. For this example, I wanted to use something completely random and obscure to show you how this market research can work for pretty much just about anything. So I chose sock knitting. As a side note, little did I know how not random and not obscure this niche actually was. Turns out that sock knitting is a pretty big industry, but you'll learn more about that as we go on. So step one, head over to Google and type in your main keyword. For me, this was obviously sock knitting. And then take a look at all of the auto suggestions that pop up after your main keyword. In this case, I can see that we've got terms like sock knitting machine and pattern and needles and machine for sale and kit and loom and size chart books, antique, things like that. How relevant some of these terms are is obviously going to depend on whether your sock knitting business is more product or service based, but it's still a pretty good start. And if I find a suggestion that I find particularly relevant, I just have to keep typing to get even more suggestions. For example, if I decide to type in sock knitting pattern, I can see all of the suggestions that Google's offering based on what other people have searched for. Things like patterns for beginners and toe up and PDF and circular needles and all sorts of other things. I have no idea what they mean, but I guess that's the point of market research after all. Now I could click on each of these terms individually in order to find out their overall search volume, but another faster, better, and certainly more thorough way of doing this is to use Google Ads Keyword Planner. So let's do that now. First, log into Google Ads and choose the Keyword Planner, and then click Discover New Keywords. Then just type in your search term. For me again, this is sock knitting, and I've chosen to select the US and Canada as my overall search pool. And then Google hands over a list of over 1,000 different keyword ideas, as well as their search volume and their competition that I can sort through and use to make further decisions. And apparently, I can see what people are searching for, I can see if there are trends and seasonality, I can check the overall competition, and apparently sock knitting is a pretty competitive industry. So that's what people say they want, but more importantly, what do they actually buy? And to find that out, all we need to do is head over to the world's largest online retailer, Amazon. One of the fastest, easiest, and best places to get ideas and relevant data on what people are actually buying is with Amazon. And the process that we're going to do here is going to look pretty similar to what we just did on Google. So the first step is to head over to Amazon, type in your search term, and see what comes up. Now the first thing that you can do is see what Amazon suggests in their autocomplete, which surprisingly looks kind of similar to Google. I mean, we've got terms like sock knitting machine and needles and book and loom and kit and so on. For now though, let's just stick with our main keyword of sock knitting and hit enter. The books and book titles will tell you the topics that people are most interested in. And because a book takes a lot longer to write than a blog post or social media post, the words they use in the title, the subtitle, and the descriptions are typically well thought out and designed to appeal to the target audience. The reviews are another great place to mine for data, looking at what people liked and didn't like about whatever they bought. Lastly, you can't see exactly how many units were sold of anything, but you can try to make a rough guess based on the number of reviews any single listing received. Another thing that you can do, depending on your business, your market, and your industry, is to take a look at your competitors and see what ads they're running. Now, this is going to be trickier for some industries, like sock knitting, than it is for others, like say health and fitness. But it's still important for you to know how to do this, so let me walk you through it now. First, head over to Facebook and type in the name of your industry or even one of your competitors. Now, I'll admit, it did take me a while to find a good knitting example, but I did finally find one for us to take a look at. The Facebook page is called We Are Knitters, and to see their ads, all you need to do is click over to their page, scroll down until you see the section called Page Transparency, and click See All. You can see that they're running ads, so click Go to Ad Library, and then all of their ads will appear before you, and you can do this with any and all of your competitors who are running ads on Facebook or on Instagram. What I like to do here is look through each ad, paying special attention to the ones that appear to show up again and again, as well as the ones that are closer to the bottom of the page, which indicates they've been running for the longest amount of time. In general, it's pretty safe to assume that the longer an ad's been running, the more profitable it is compared to other ads. After all, otherwise why would they continue to be running it? But that's not always the case, so make sure to do a little bit of due diligence. Of course, all of the market research in the world doesn't mean a thing if you don't have a solid marketing strategy to actually go out and apply it all. So to help you with that, I've linked up a video right here with some of my top marketing strategies, so make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the video. And when you're broad, you're boring, and everybody just ignores you, and you sound like 99% of the other businesses and marketers out there saying the same things, like we offer higher quality and we offer better service and all of that stuff that everybody's heard.
Okay, so that was just kind of a very quick, he speaks very rapidly, but he gave you some really good information. Whether you're using it for healthcare or sock knitting or whatever it happens to be, you can still use those Google Analytics. Now, you know, probably Amazon wouldn't do us any good in healthcare, but there's always other sources that you can go to that can help you get kind of a ground feeling for what is, you know, what is and is not something you want to venture into. And, you know, advertising dollars are hard to come by when you're in a company in today's world. And so you don't want to waste your money on something your target group doesn't want, you know, or something that has already been done over and over and redone. So it's a good way of finding out what's out there and whether you have a good idea or not. Okay, so I'm going to now, do I have any questions right now before I share the PowerPoint screen? Okay. All right, so we're going to go to PowerPoints and chapter 5, which is this week's chapter. One second. I'm with Steven with having trouble with Zoom. All right. Share. Okay, hopefully everybody can see this. All right, so marketing research. When you're looking at marketing research, well, I don't know, I've got something right here in the middle of mine. Oh, there we go. It's a process. And the process has to do with, first you have to recognize that you have a problem. You don't have any reason to research something if there's not a problem. So, you know, you can take this back if you want to look at marketing and, you know, innovation and businesses. Look at Shark Tank. The first thing they always say is, does this solve a problem? So if you don't have a problem to solve, then whatever widget it is probably isn't worth very much. So when you're looking at problem recognition, you want to define the problem. And when you do that, you want to involve both the management and the clinical personnel to be sure that you have an accurate description of the problem, because sometimes management might see it as a problem that there's maybe, I don't know, too many people on duty at the same time, you know, that you've got too much inventory of staff and personnel. Whereas on the other hand, the clinical side might say, listen, there are days when we can't even go use the bathroom or get a glass of water because we're so busy. So how does each side recognize the problem? You know, is it a problem, and what is the problem? So, you know, that's what you have to look at. Unfortunately, as management, you're always going to probably not be a pleasant person for them to see coming. If you're managing the emergency room and you feel like there's been too much money spent on staffing and they see you heading that way, the people who are working there, they're probably thinking, oh, brother, he's going to come send somebody home, or, you know, have less people or whatever it happens to be. But that's he or she, but that's all part of the job. You know, that's all part of your job. Hospitals, any kind of facility cannot operate without making money. You cannot operate in the red for any extended period of time. So, okay, so after we've defined our problem, then we're going to look at it a little more deeply. Are we actually just identifying a symptom of the problem? Let's say that there's no seating in the waiting room. Well, that may be a symptom of the fact that we're not getting patients through fast enough. So the waiting room problem may not be solved by adding more chairs. That may not be the real problem. The real problem may be that we're not efficient enough in the emergency room. So you have to be sure that the problem that you are recognizing is the problem that you need to fix and not just a symptom of the problem. The next step is that we need to identify the research objectives. And the exploratory one is that you're going to decide what is the cause of the problem. You know, it may not be easy to figure out what the cause of the problem is, but you need to figure out what's causing this problem in order to be able to fix it. And then you're going to attempt to identify new issues or markets. So that's another research objective, is to figure out where you can bring in more clients. You know, what are the new issues or markets that are available? What is out there that isn't being solved yet by one of the competitors? Or what if it's something brand new that you need to tell people about? And is it going to be good for your target group? You know, I've talked about this before. I hope in this class, is that you really need to know who your target group is, and then that's who you need to market to. If you're marketing a new family center that has from gynecologists and you know, obstetricians and all the people that have to do with having small children, having the babies and all that, chances are you're not going to go take flyers to a nursing home, because that is not your target group, hopefully. So you need to, you know, realize who your target group is and where you can find them. You know, where's the best place to spend your dollars? Then you can come up with a test hypothesis to figure out, you know, is this going to work, and do some sort of small little survey or something to figure out if in fact, you know, this is going to determine what you need to know. And then you're going to try to predict the demand for the service. So sometimes you can really be off center on that and lose a lot of money. But sometimes if you've done your research, you might be right on target. Let's say that you're in an area that you're at a, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good example that kind of blares it out. All right, let's say you're opening up a new plastic surgery clinic. Now, we know that plastic surgery is done for reconstructive, but it's a lot of times the main thing plastic surgery is done for is for aesthetic reasons. And so if you're going to open up a new high-end plastic surgery clinic or facility, then you probably are not going to want to put it in downtown LA, more than likely. You know, you're probably going to want to put it where the people are that would use that product or use that service. And that might be in, you know, Laguna. It might be, you know, wherever it might be where the people who have the money for that service would be using it. So other things are, maybe maybe you're going to open up a new orthopedic clinic, and you've done your research and you've discovered that there's not an orthopedic clinic within the area you want to open it for 30 miles. You know, so maybe you run a better chance, you know, of it being successful. But you can forecast the demand for service. You can look at the target group, where they're located, economics, you know, their needs, and all that will help you forecast whether or not it's going to be a problem that needs to be solved. Okay, the research design is you just plan for the study, you specify what you're looking for, and then you have to analyze, interpret the results, and then you have to decide whether to collect primary or secondary data. And we're going to go into primary and secondary data in just a few minutes. Many of you will remember that probably from your stat class when you were a freshman or sophomore. I love that kind of stuff. You know, I have a minor in statistics, but a lot of people just barely survive through it. So, but that's one of the main things that you probably will remember, because you probably had to do some sort of a assignment on it. So, okay, as we're looking at it, primary data is data. Primary means like first, right? So that means that it's data that you have collected yourself. It's data that you went out and did surveys, or you went out and did observations, or, you know, if you did qualitative, then you did interviews or focus groups. If you did quantitative, you did surveys where everything could be put into numbers. You know, when I was working for the University of Houston, I was the statistician on most of the dissertations in the department that I was in. And this particular department really loved qualitative data. I hated it, because when you're looking at a dissertation and what I had to read, hang on just a second, my mouth is dry, Dave. Qualitative data, that dissertation might be 800 pages for me to read, because every single thing that those people interviewed, all the information in the interviews, all the information in the focus groups, everything that they collected had to be written into the dissertation. And then they had to find what they called strands. And those strands would be commonalities. If you interviewed 5 people, you would be looking for commonalities among those 5 people. And that's where your data comes from. And in those years, there was a few software programs that could do it. But like one of them was called in something, I've forgotten it, but the name of it. But it really is very time consuming and very data intensive. Whereas quantitative data, everything is reduced to numbers. If you give out a survey and you've got a Likert type scale, 1 to 5, then it's a number that someone puts in. Or true or false, it's a number that someone puts in. So you pop those numbers into SPSS, and you can analyze that data with a variety of different tests, and you can do that dissertation in 150 to 200 pages. But the data is not as rich when you do quantitative, because you may say, oh yeah, this is a problem, but you don't really have any way to solve it. Whereas the qualitative data, the researcher can go back and can ask questions. Like if they get an answer to a question that they don't understand or they want more information on, they can ask the person they're interviewing, can you explain that a little better? So qualitative is much richer data. Quantitative is much quicker and easier. A lot of people do mixed methods where they have both. First they do the quantitative, then they go out and do a qualitative follow-up. So, you know, but those are the two different types of primary data. Then, again, the main thing about primary data is it is costly and it is very time consuming. Secondary data is data that you use that's been collected by somebody else. A lot of times this is much broader data. You have a lot more of it because it's huge businesses and companies and government agencies that are collecting this data. And so it, you know, it's thousands and thousands of pieces of data that you could not possibly do if you were doing it yourself. And there's different, one of the main big data is the Census Bureau. They ask all kinds of questions. And there are companies that will actually go in and you tell this company, this is the data that we want to retrieve from the Census Bureau data, and they will get it for you and then give it to you in a nice format where all you have to do is then analyze it. When I was working for running a grant in Houston, they sent me to Washington, D.C. to learn how to use census data. And it was a week-long seminar on all the different ways, because it's not as simple, at least at that point in time, it wasn't as simple as it looks. You had to know what keywords, you had to know how to get in it, you had to know, I mean, it was just, of course, computers, you know, were not near as efficient as they are now either. But it's not as easy as it might seem. You have to know how to get into that data. But there's all kinds of big data out there. And we're actually going to have someone come speak to us in October who runs a program called Speed Track that has hospital and medical big data that he's going to tell you all about it. So it's another place you can get a lot of this kind of information. Okay, this is just showing different types of data sources and where it comes from. This comes straight from your book. Okay, this is a little more detail again on qualitative data. Where I got my PhD was Texas A&M University, and at that time they didn't have a lot of qualitative data. It was the department that I was in did most of their stuff was quantitative based. It was a lot of quantitative researchers. Qualitative was just coming into being very popular back then. So qualitative was not something I was heavily trained in. As y'all can see, I have a little bias towards quantitative, but qualitative is really important if you're trying to get specific information. And some places you can go, like to the Nielsen reports, you can go to medical mystery shoppers, cameras, you know, people observe cameras and how people behave. Again, the census. Then focus groups are smaller groups that are brought together and ask specific questions. And sometimes they're done like online, sometimes they're actually done face-to-face. Then you have personal interviews, and then the most recent and very commonly used now that you'll probably be using if you get assigned this task as an intern or as a new management is social media. Because social media is extremely relevant right in today's world. You can, it's amazing. Well, I guess I'll just give you an example. You know, let's say you went to emergency room in today's world and you had to sit there 8 hours and then they told you you're going to have to come back tomorrow because you're not really an emergency. And you walk out of there, you've already wasted a whole day. The first thing most people are going to do is pick up their cell phone and they're going to tweet out what a horrible place this particular emergency room is. And so immediately you have feedback on a particular facility. Whereas 25, 30 years ago, you get mad, you go home. By the time you get home, you're kind of calmed down and you either have to make a phone call, which, you know, or you have to write a physical letter. All of which just doesn't get done usually. So we didn't have that same data that we have now. I'll give you another example of it. Years ago, 18-wheelers, when they were driving down the road, if they had, a lot of them had a sign on the back said, if I'm driving bad, call this number. Or if, you know, if I'm reckless or something along those lines. And then, used to, they'd get very few phone calls because, let's say an 18-wheeler cuts you off, you're furious, but by the time you get home, take your groceries out of the car, do whatever you need to do, you've already said, oh, it's too much trouble to call. But in today's world, if an 18-wheeler cuts you off and there's a phone number on the back of the truck, you're going to pick up that cell phone and call them right then and there and tattle on them. So data is much more quick, much more achievable. It's just out there, easier to do. And if y'all look at 18-wheelers now, you never see that hardly on them anymore because people are getting inundated with phone calls. So social media has its place as far as all these different opinions, and you can go there and you can get some very valuable information. Okay, this is just an example of the different types of data collecting. And again, this comes straight from the book. Now, quantitative data, that is pure numbers. Everything can be extrapolated and put into a software program. And, you can run t-tests and ANOVAs and MANOVAs. But typically what most of the stuff you would be doing would be running just basic statistics, like the mean, the median, how often it occurs, the mode, what's the exact middle for the median. And then the mean, of course, is it all averaged together, every single one of them. Now, I'm going to just put in my own little thing about quantitative and using the mean all the time. Here's the issue. If you have everybody if you look at a graph and let's say you don't have a huge data set and you look at a graph and it shows all these little dots all kind of together, but maybe one or two on the graph are way out by themselves. And those are called outliers. Well, if you only have, let's say your data set only has 20 and you have two outliers, that is going to skew your mean. So it's not really an accurate representation of what your data says because you have these two outliers. And outliers can be caused by a lot of things. I can give you all an example that probably makes a lot of sense. I drive a Ford 150 truck, a Raptor, so it's got a lift kit on it. So the average person that drives that vehicle is probably, between the ages of 30 to 40, 45, around that age group. And they're usually, and most of the time, men. So if you were to put that on a chart, if I was included in the survey, I would be up in the corner somewhere. And if there was only like 9 other people, then that would skew, that may change the average age from, 35 to 45, just that one outlier. So when you're looking at data, you need to always look at everything. Look and see where those numbers lie. If they all lie together, then you're okay. But if you have a few that are just way off the chart, then you have to look at other ways to figure out what the data is saying. Survey research can include telephone. We don't do a lot of phone stuff anymore. Used to, when you had landlines, which very few people have nowadays, you would get phone calls all the time asking you to participate in surveys. You just don't get those too much anymore. There's a lot of online surveys like SurveyMonkey and various other ones. Mail, you might get an email with a link to a survey, but hard copy mail, you don't get those as much anymore. But I will tell y'all about a study that was done a number of years back, that when they send out these surveys in the mail, and this would be like different kinds of companies sent them out. They found that if they put even a penny in with the survey, that people were more likely to complete it because they had a guilty feeling about taking that penny and not completing the survey. So they found that even just a penny in a mail would increase the rate of their survey returns. Then as years went by, people started putting $1 in there. But still, it showed that your rate of return was much higher if you put something in there. And you can kind of equate that to, if you go to CVS or Walmart and then you get a survey the next day and they say, how was your service? And they tell you you'll be entered in a a drawing where one person out of every 1,000 will win, I don't know, $500 or something. You know, I usually just delete it because I know the opportunity of me getting any kind of reward for that is almost zero. But if I go to Jack in the Box and I get an order from Jack in the Box, and then my receipt says, if you call this in and answer a 4-question survey, you'll get a free hamburger. I'm going to do that one because I know I'm going to get something. So you got to think about those things if you do decide to do any kind of surveys, is what kind of reward can you give? When I did my dissertation, I had undergraduate students taking an abilities test, and I gave them all certificates for Baskin-Robbins ice cream cones. So I didn't have any problem getting students to come in and take these tests, these assessments. But you got to do something. People don't have the time or the desire to do anything for nothing lately. Okay, so this just talks, we probably will not be doing this in this class. This is just, for your information, and we're running out of time, but you will be, some of this information will be on your quiz, so be sure you go over it. And that kind of is the gist of market research. So do I have any questions about and this, someone asked if I will have this recording up by the end of the day. Someone asked, I'm sorry. So that, and I'll send y'all an email out with the link. Are there any questions about market research, about the Navigate assignment, about anything so far? I'm up to, I think I have graded everything pretty much up to Sunday is done. So you should have an idea of, what your grades are. There are some issues with Canvas, and I've gone in and tried to fix them along the way. Canvas imported stuff from 2 different semesters, and some of the stuff had been taken out. Some had been, I'd changed the way it was done. And so if you run into something you don't understand in Canvas, just let me know and I will clarify. But you can always use the dates on the syllabus. Everything on the syllabus is up to snuff. There should not be any errors, or if there are, please let me know on the syllabus. Hopefully this first semester will be the only time y'all will have to suffer through these Canvas issues. Okay, do I have any questions? Okay, remember, no class on Thursday. You're going to use that time to do your Navigate 2. That should be enough time to get a good chunk of it going. So if you have any questions or need any explanations, you can email, text, or call me. Other than that, I will see y'all next week. I think we meet next week, right? Or no? Can't remember. Hang on. Don't run away yet. Let me check. Yes, we do meet next week. Okay. So other than that, we'll meet next week. Y'all have a great week.
Thank you, Professor.
You bet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Professor.
Uh-huh.
I just have one quick question.
Sure.
For the assignment, let me see. Actually, never mind. I got it. Thank you.
Okay, well, if you think of something, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Professor?
Uh-huh.
I tried to open the Navigate quiz, and it says